All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Heroes Connect Military Manufacturing event, where we're continuing the conversation with another phenomenal company today. Let me first introduce myself. My name's Katie. I'm the Senior Manager of Program Initiatives for the Heroes Make America program, and I'll be moderating today's event. Today, we're featuring the Kinetic Group, a company that you may not recognize by name, but I bet you recognize some of their brands once we get to that part. I'm super excited to have you all learn more about them today. We love doing these events because we not only get to introduce you to a potential employer, but we want to introduce you to a company who is actively seeking your military talent. Most importantly, though, we aim to help our broader military community better understand the manufacturing industry as a whole. Because frankly, if you don't know someone in manufacturing, it is hard to maybe see where your skill sets could lie and fit in one of these different positions. And oftentimes, there's a lot of different roles that your skill set fits that we may just not know about. So events like this help us learn about those different positions within the companies. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump into today's event, let's review some quick housekeeping items. First off, the event is being recorded so we can send it out as a recap email. Please be sure you do stay muted throughout the presentation, though, just to make sure that we don't have any of that background noise. But although you're muted, I still encourage you to be an active participant. Utilize the chat feature. So throughout the presentation, if any questions that you think of, go ahead and throw them in the chat because we'll do a Q&A at the end where I'll come back and review the questions that you guys have asked. So if you think of something, throw it in, we'll revisit it. I'll also ask if anyone wants to come on live to ask any questions during that Q&A session. So to kick us off on the chat, I want you all to pull it up. I want you to drop in, where are you going to be job searching? So city, state, region, are you open to relocating? All that kind of good stuff. Throw that in the chat so then our presenters can see where you guys are looking. While you're doing that, if you're not familiar with the Heroes Make America program, we are a DoD-approved skill bridge program and a career skills program through the Army. We're open to transitioning service members, veterans, reservists, National Guardsmen, and military spouses. So if you're military affiliated, you can come through our program. We offer a variety of certification trainings, equipping our students for rewarding careers in the manufacturing and supply chain industry. So you can see here, our program managers and our 4 current training pathways. We have several different locations, but we offer manufacturing operations, logistics, industrial systems maintenance, and then our newest pathway is for aircraft mechanics to earn their FAA airframe and powerplant certification. We'll drop our contact information to the chat so you're able to connect with us if you do have any questions. And then don't forget, tell your battle buddies, maybe they're interested in the program as well, that they can do as they're transitioning out. All right, last thing I want to mention. In addition to our SkillBridge trainings, we also host a variety of other virtual events to include in-person and virtual career fairs for you to directly connect with different employers. We're going to drop in our upcoming events and registration links in the chat for you to check out. You can see here that the 2 career fairs that we have slotted for this summer, we do have our next one out at Fort Cavazos on July 30th. And then we also have a virtual career fair that's happening on August 22nd. So mark your calendars to attend those events, and then also follow our Heroes Make America social channels or LinkedIn and Facebook to get the most up-to-date information on the employers who are registered for those events. All right, but that's enough about me and Heroes Make America. Let's go on and move on to our featured company for today. So what I'm going to do, we're first going to watch a video, and then I'll bring up Tarina to talk about the Kinetic Group.
There's an energy within us, one that ignites our passion for pursuit and to give fair chase. It's this energy that defines our purpose: to conserve the outdoors, to educate and preserve our shooting sports heritage, and provide the courage to stand tall. And it's this energy that guides our products. Products built by American workers with a resolve for American performance. We are a collection of the most respected and renowned ammunition brands in the world. Manufacturing freedom, one round at a time. Kinetic Group.
I just love that video, manufacturing freedom. It's so awesome. Tarina, I'm gonna pass it on over to you to kick us off for the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it. Yes, that video every time never gets old. I love it. Love it so much more every time I see it. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here today. Thank you so much to the Heroes Make America team for organizing and letting us present for our second year. We are very excited to be back to share more about the Kinetic Group. I want to extend our most sincere thank you to all of you for your service. And if we have any military spouses on here today, I want to thank you all for your continued support for your service member. I am Tarina Pleasance, Talent Acquisition Lead for the Kinetic Group, also a U.S. Army veteran. I was on active duty in the Army from 2005 to 2009, serving as a 25 Quebec multi-channels transmission system operator and maintainer. In layman's terms, I was a radio and satellite communications operator. I was one of the gals that made sure phones and internet were working. And I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but also the one who had to explain to lieutenants why they couldn't access MySpace on the SIPR network while downrange. I was also a military spouse for a few years until my husband retired from the Army in the summer of 2020. I also spent some time serving in the transitioning military community through the USO transition program before finding my way to the Kinetic Group. I began my career here at Remington Ammunition on their marketing team, and for the past 3 years, I've had the most fulfilling job, bringing more passionate people into careers in our industry. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked as a recruiter during interviews is, what do you like about your company? What's the thing that really gets you going about working at the Kinetic Group? And my answer is always pretty simple. I found home here. Veterans often feel displaced or dislocated after their time in service, something I personally experienced. And no matter how much you prepare, there can be this void or loss of connection after separating from the military. But I found that there's this similar camaraderie in this industry, and I'm excited to share more with you. The passion our employees have for what they do outdoors sparks them to produce, innovate, and promote our products. That passion and interest for the outdoors is comparable to the camaraderie I miss so much about the military. The Kinetic Group employs over 3,800 employees across the US. We build ammunition for hunters, shooters, our US military, and law enforcement. We engineer and manufacture the most accurate, powerful, and reliable ammunition in the world. And I'm excited to share that we are now a member of the Ammo Plus division of the Industrial Technological Group, CSG, or the Czechoslovak Group. CSG is a dynamic group of more than 100 manufacturing, development, and trading companies based in several European countries and in the US, with over 10,000 employees. Next slide, please. Our brands lead in every category and are the heart and soul of our company. We are CCI, Federal, Fiocchi, Heavy Shot, Remington, and Spear. And between these 5 brands, we have more than 400 years experience manufacturing ammunition. Next slide. Our mission is to build better ammunition in America to create community, power defense, and conserve our heritage. Our vision is to extend our leadership in ammunition as the most recognizable, trusted resource and champion for hunters, shooting enthusiasts, and defenders of freedom across the globe. Our purpose? Sustaining long-term value means excelling in the marketplace, in our communities, and in supporting our employees while continually fostering positive heritage of our products. Across the Kinetic Group, we rally for the customer by fostering collaboration, sharing insights, and scaling competencies. We engineer our products in ways that match the drive of the people who put them to work in the field, on the course, and in the battlefield. We're not just a name on the door. We are the people developing the products that help customers all over the world. Next slide, please. We manufacture high quality rimfire, centerfire, next slide, and shot shell ammunition, as well as the components for hunters and shooters. As we progress through the presentation, you're going to learn more about our people, our product, and why we call this industry home. Next slide, please. We have 5 locations across the US. Federal is in Anoka, Minnesota, which is also where we were headquartered. Fiocchi is in Ozark, Missouri. Heavy Shot's in Sweet Home, Oregon. And Remington is located in Lone Oak, Arkansas. CCI and Spear are in Lewiston, Idaho. Next slide, please. Our employees at the Kinetic Group are passionate and committed to delivering quality products to our customers. We have a variety of positions at our locations, including assemblers, charger operators, mechanical adjusters, operators, process technicians, ballistic testers, quality auditors, manufacturing associates. Next slide, please. As well as engineers, logistics positions, shipping warehouse associates, maintenance, human resources, IT, marketing, and more. Next slide, please. We also offer meaningful internships to students to help students develop their skills as they contribute to a global company with a desire to exceed the lofty expectations of our customers worldwide. Next slide, please. Okay, are you excited? I'm excited. I'm going to hand it over to a few of our team members to introduce our brands. First up, we have Kyle Musto, production planner and US Navy veteran. Kyle is going to tell you a little bit more about his transition journey and share more about CCI and Spear. Next slide. Up next, we'll have Leland Mason. He's going to share more, Leland Mason, R&D engineer. Leland's going to share more about his passion for shooting and Remington ammunition. Next slide. And we have Stephen Krippner, Senior HR Manager. Stephen's going to share more about his passion for the industry and federal ammunition. And I will give you a brief overview of Heavy Shot and Fiocchi. Each of my speakers are going to introduce themselves and give you a little bit more information about the brands they represent. First up, we have Stephen Krippner, Senior HR Manager at Federal. Stephen's going to share a little bit more about his career and, like I said, passion for the industry and federal ammunition. But first, we're going to kick off this awesome video, and then he's going to take over for us.
For more than 100 years, Federal has been crafting the world's finest ammunition right here in Anoka, Minnesota, providing great career opportunities for those who live in our community. We believe in the power of people working together in a creative and supportive way. That's why we have a team-oriented work environment. We want all of our employees to truly be a part of our company, participating at all levels of the decision-making process. From planning to measuring results, Federal makes sure employees have the freedom to be creative, enjoy their jobs, make a difference, and grow in their careers. We offer competitive industry wages and a benefits package that starts day one, including medical, dental, tuition reimbursement, 401k savings with a generous company match, and discounts on Federal products and those of its sister companies. Experience it for yourself. Check out available jobs at Federal and apply today.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Krippner. As Tarina mentioned, I'm the Senior Manager of Employee Relations here at Federal. I basically head up the on-site HR team. I am not an active member or veteran of the military, so similar to Tarina's sincere thank you to all of you on this call, including my own team members, for your service to our country. A little bit about my personal background. I am a lifelong Minnesotan, born, raised, and now raising my own family in central Minnesota. I'm a passionate hunter and outdoor enthusiast. Typically here in Minnesota, that means whitetails and turkeys. It's a little bit of fishing sprinkled in there. I've always aspired to work in the outdoor industry. I just found that it's easiest to connect with people who share that lifestyle for me. And I want to be around it as much as possible because it is something that I'm extremely personally passionate about. My education, I graduated from Winona State in Winona, Minnesota. I double majored in human resources management and business administration. So HR has kind of always been the track that I was on. The earliest part of my career, my first role was an HR assistant for a regional chain of grocery stores, and then spent a couple of years there and got my first position here with Federal as an HR generalist. Worked for about 3 years took a little bit of a turn and moved with a different company and did a regional HR business partner role in the veterinary healthcare industry. And then at that point, it was kind of like, am I going to stick with HR? Am I going to try something else? I had kind of gotten to that point in my career where I needed to make a decision. Wanted to get back into the outdoor industry, like I mentioned at the beginning, because it's so important to me. Did a little bit of sales as an outdoor sales rep, and ultimately found my way back to federal about a year ago in HR, which is again where my schooling is. That's where my background is, and a career in HR definitely is more conducive to a family life than a career in sales. So a much better fit for me personally. My current role at federal. Like I said, senior manager of employee relations. So really, I'm just leading all of the employee relations strategy for my team. But I also serve as a business partner to some of the core segments that we have, like our centerfire manufacturing plant, as well as shipping, receiving, and our distribution center. So next slide, please. A little bit of an overview of our federal site. Our manufacturing processes are vertically integrated, so we're responsible for. I just want to give you a sense of what it feels like to be on site here. So we're responsible from raw material to finished goods. I mean, you're gonna, like you can see in that picture there, you see that lead ingot to the left. That lead ingot is going to be melted down into molten lead, dropped through a sieve into a cooling bath, which comes out as lead shot, and then it gets added to plastic tubes that we form and cut, and we manufacture and stamp out the brass cups and the primers and mix the priming components here, or the priming mix, and stabilize it, and it all gets manufactured. All of those little components come from raw materials and get manufactured and assembled here to make a shot shell. So you look at that one piece of it, and it ends up being something, really cool and something that we're all very familiar with on the back end. And then there's obviously similar processes here on site that we have for center fire and rim fire as well, extruding our rifle casings, swedging our bullets from lead wire, those types of things. We are a market leader in ammunition technology. If you haven't read or heard about our new 7mm backcountry round, I recommend you check that out. I think it's a really strong example of some of the recent innovation that we've accomplished here. Over 1,200 employees work at the Anoka, Minnesota facility. Like Tarina mentioned at the beginning, it is a full business here at the Anoka facility. We are the headquarters as well for the Kinetic Group. So we've got product design, engineering, marketing, human resources, facilities, maintenance, electricians, shipping and receiving. I mean, really everything that it takes to manufacture and distribute and create ammunition, it's here. So the facility is located on 175 acres, and we're only about a half hour from Minneapolis, which obviously is the largest city in Minnesota. So to have this huge property, it's really cool. We've maintained this large footprint in our community. It's grown dramatically around us in our 103-year history. Obviously, we have 850,000 square feet of manufacturing space. So if you can picture 15 football fields, it's about 15 football fields worth of manufacturing space. It's huge. Very easy to get lost when you first start out, but it gets a little bit easier as you go. Federal Premium Ammunition is our flagship brand, and it focuses its competitive advantage on cutting edge technology. But we also have brands that you may have heard of, like American Eagle, Fusion, Guard Dog, Blazer, Trophy Copper. Those are some examples, some other examples of federal ammunition products. As an active business in the local community, Federal has been responsible for abundant employment opportunities and community involvement throughout its history. Our engineers here actually designed City Hall in Anoka way back when, decades ago at this point. And the rumor has it that they snuck into the design. If you were to look at an aerial photo of City Hall back when it was first built, it was in the shape of a handgun or a pistol. So that was a little tongue in cheek by our engineers here, but very, very cool, and definitely a cool footprint to make in our community. So for me, like I'd mentioned, it's for a career, and it's not necessarily about what I'm doing. There's good days and bad days with every job. Definitely in human resources where I work, there's a lot of ups and downs emotionally, just dealing with people and the range of situate or the array of situations that get presented to me, and that people put themselves in. But it's the most important thing is where I'm doing it, and I am very passionate about the outdoor industry. And as Tarina had mentioned, I really found a home here. You know, I left. I worked here for 3 years, left, and it was always circled in my goals and hopes to come back here and get a chance to do it again and do it even better than the first time. And I'm so blessed and happy to have the opportunity to do that. So I think that when, you know, as folks here that are looking to transition into manufacturing, think about what the manufacturing, what the product that the manufacturer is making. And I think that's important because there's so much investment with our team from the top to the bottom, and care and passion for what we're doing on site here every single day. And it definitely shows in our products and in our people. So that's all that I have. Thank you so much for your time, and let me chat with you here today. I'm going to kick it over to Kyle to give you the lowdown on CCI and Spear.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. I'm Kyle Musto. I'm a production planner and buyer at CCI Spear here in Lewiston, Idaho. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I joined the Navy when I was 19. Let's see. There we go. Spent 23 years as a flight engineer. So I was a mechanic and also part of the flight crew. I really loved my job. I loved the people, the friendships, high tempo, you know, fast paced traveling, all the things that come with being in the military. You know, you get an opportunity to lead teams, and, you know, follow, you know, your leadership's, you know, guidance and goal setting and, you know, clear direction. But by far, I loved flying the most, being up in the air. I retired with about 7,000 flight hours, and I miss it every day. So, you know, being in the military kind of, it's part of your identity, you know, probably whether you've been in for 4 years or 25 years. So, you know, retiring was, you know, it was a little scary, but, you know, because you have everything laid out for you in the military. And I think that's one thing that's, you know, nice and comfortable, you know, among all the high tempo, fast pace, you know, dangerous locations or jobs that you might have. You know, your path is pretty clearly laid out for you. So, you know, transitioning or getting out encompasses quite a bit. So, a part of my journey was I was lucky enough to use the Skill Builder program. So if you're able to do that, I highly encourage you. It wasn't in manufacturing. I actually got my real estate license, but that turns out was not for me. It was a great experience. And, you know, one thing also I liked about the Skill Builder program is, you know, it really stretched out that transition, kind of gave me a taste of what being a civilian was like again, you know, making decisions for yourself. It's kind of nice. So if you have that option, I definitely encourage you to use it. But after about a year, I found CCI, and they had a posting for a production planner and buyer. And reading the description, you know, I didn't really understand what that was and how I was going to translate, you know, military experience to, you know, an employer that's not hiring a, you know, a naval aviator or a mechanic on aircraft. So I had to kind of learn a new vocabulary. And I found that a lot of the things that I did, you know, directly translated. And you just gotta, you know, you gotta read between the lines. You know, I was a maintenance controller, so I planned and unplanned maintenance on aircraft. I wrote a flight schedule, you know, more planning. I operated a budget. So, you know, I found things that I did in the military that directly translated, and I thought this was a good fit. And I think that, I use the products that, all these brands represent, make, and I obviously believe in that, what they're doing, U.S. government, agencies like the FBI, all use our products, and that's what I'm mostly supporting. I'm a casual shooter, but I nonetheless enjoy shooting a great deal. So again, here in Lewiston, we've got about 1,100 employees, and there's 3 facilities, separated by a few miles each, where we do the center fire projectiles, rim fire, and the primer departments, as well as spear bullets. So my specific job is to plan production, so determine kind of what the market looks like, where the orders are, and build or plan production for primers and spear bullets, just the projectiles themselves. You wouldn't believe how much goes into each one of these products from a raw material standpoint, and I learned pretty quick that there's a lot. I never really thought about a piece of ammo and all the little tiny parts and pieces that go into it. From the brass and the lead and the paper products, the chemicals, the powder. But those are all the things that I get to order now to support any planned production that I schedule. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. One thing I really enjoy is I get to collaborate with multiple teams, whether that's, sales, marketing, demand planning, sister companies, we use each other's components for a finished good. So we get to collaborate and work together in that regard. Another thing that kind of carried over from the military that I enjoy is just working together for a common goal. And, the atmosphere around here feels very similar and familiar. I feel like I'm really lucky to have found, the CCI Spear team. And I've been here for about 4 years now. CCI is obviously a leader in rimfire ammunition. The mini mags, long rifle, the first hypervelocity rounds came from CCI. Go ahead and next slide. A couple of facts that I was reading that I wanted to share with you about how CCI Spear came about. Was created by 2 brothers, Vernon and Richard Spear. Vernon was actually a former Navy ballistic specialist, and he established Spear back in 1943. And then a few years later, his brother, Dick Spear, founded CCI, Cascade Cartridge Incorporated, in the mid 50s, early 50s. But I think that's really great, and that it came from 2 brothers. One had a military connection, addressing World War II shortages in components. They found a need and they fulfilled it. One thing we talk about at CCI Spear is having a founder's mentality. Thinking about if this was your company, if you were Vernon or Richard Spear, what's best for the company. And again, that's another thing that spoke to me, that I really like. And I think that's about all I got. And Leland is next from Remington.
Thank you, Kyle. Just want to say thank you all for taking the time to tune in today and listen to us talk. My name is Leland Mason, and I am a research and development engineer for Remington Ammunition. So, of course, as you see on the slide there, Remington Ammunition is located in Lone Oak, Arkansas. So just a little bit outside of Little Rock, so pretty much central to the state. We have about 800 employees on site, and we produce very similar to Spear, CCI, and Federal, of course, ammunition ground up. So think raw material to finished good. We're pretty proud of that. It's a large operation, as everybody else was saying, and there's a lot that goes into it, and of course, a lot of opportunities for careers and employment. And before I even get into the details, similar to Stephen, I myself am not an active military service member, but I do want to say I really appreciate your all's service. It means a lot to us. So with that, um, Remington is 1,700 acres, right? Like I said, kind of in rural Arkansas. We house a lot of different operations in different buildings. Of course, we have a gun club that is. I see a few people here in the chat are Arkansas fans. That's always good to see. But anyway, so myself, just to kick that off real quick. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. So I went to mechanical engineering school in Kentucky, and I was lucky enough to get an internship at Federal. And then upon the completion of my internship, I finished up my last year of school and was offered a position in research and development at Remington. So I went to school for mechanical engineering. At Federal, I was a research and development engineering intern on the handgun ammunition team. So kind of transferring over to Remington, it was a very, very similar product field. So anyways, like I said, going from Kentucky to Arkansas, I came here specifically because I bleed green. I'm a Remington guy. I grew up shooting Remington ammunition. I love Remington. I moved 8.5 hours away from everybody I knew to work for Remington. So, and I feel like a lot of people around here, they would have done the same. There's a really fulfilling feeling working at Remington and at Federal. I experienced that, and of course, for the time that I've spent at CCI and Spear, people are very passionate about their job. I not to diminish any other manufacturing or industry, but I'm a gun nut. I'm a gun enthusiast. If I'm not shooting guns, I'm thinking about shooting guns. If I'm not thinking about shooting guns, it's probably because I'm reading about shooting guns. And if I'm not doing any of that, I'm probably at work shooting guns. So I wanted to go into a career field where I was passionate about it. No offense to anybody who works on a washing machine, but I just couldn't see myself doing something with product testing of spin cycles on a washing machine. I wanted to be out doing what I was passionate about. And I feel like for a lot of military service members, this is definitely a career option that you would fit right into just because of the familiarity with the product and the importance and fulfilling that, importance of a career in putting forth effort and having something to show forth on a product in something that is really a very critical and important part of American manufacturing, which is the firearms industry. So anyways, my position now as an R&D engineer, I am in charge of developing products from the ground up. So my manager comes to me and asks for us to design a new product, be it rifle, shotgun, handgun, or pistol, or sorry, rifle, shotgun, handgun, or rimfire. And it's my job to lead a project. I do the technical design work to actually develop the product and take it from concept to an actual design. I do all the prototyping, so it involves me designing the actual, we'll say a bullet, right? I'll design a bullet, and then I design the tooling to make the bullet. And then in parallel with my career and job position as a research and development engineer, I'm also a project manager. So I'm in charge of taking those designs and the tooling and the operations and making sure that those designs can be made in every facet of Remington engineering. So I really enjoy being able to touch all of the different areas of Remington. So, think primer, shell making, or we're going to have loading, we're going to have bullet assembly and manufacture, and again, all from raw materials. So it's really cool to be able to design the ammunition, test it. So I actually get to go shoot the guns. I get to test all the different characteristics that you would apply towards whatever product it is that you're designing. Shooting patterns for shotgun shells, measuring velocity and pressure. I shoot accuracy for rifle. We shoot terminal performance. So we're looking at different projectiles and how they interact with the targets that they're intended to hit. And getting to be able to be involved in that specifically is it's the kind of thing that I think would be fun to do on a Saturday on the weekend. And I know for a lot of people who are really big enthusiasts in firearms and shooting and ammunition, I feel like if you're interested in that sort of thing, that may be a career path you might share. But even on the side of that, I think really for anybody just thinking about maybe getting into the gun industry, I think something I initially thought about, full disclosure, was I really liked firearms, and firearms, manufacture or design or whatever you want to get in with firearms specifically is excellent. But I think something that's really cool about ammo that has completely swayed me, and I've been completely invested in ammunition since, is that you get to touch everything. So firearms, right, is wonderful because you're designing a system, but ammunition, you're designing a cartridge, which is one of 700 different cartridges that are going to be applied towards every type of different firearm. And then of course, being able to take advantage of benefits through the company, and then furthering your experience in shooting these products and using the products that we offer. It's a really excellent experience. So anyway, kind of going off of that, like I said, Remington, and as you can see in the slide in front of us, Remington develops products from hunting to competition shooting to law enforcement. So Katie, if you don't mind going to the next slide, we'll kind of continue off of that note. So like I said, Remington, raw material to finished good. For rifle, some of our main product staples that people may be familiar with are, of course, core locked, right? One of the most premier and staple American hunting products for centerfire rifle in the country, designed for, consistent terminal expansion. So harvesting game, you get that reliable core lock expansion that you're going to expect through the 100+ years that we've been designing it. And, of course, we take a lot of pride in being able to manufacture that from scratch. So in just talking about core locked, you have positions within the company of the design, of course, but then even more specifically, bullet manufacturers. So core locked bullet designs, you have technicians and tool setters and operators who are in charge of running those bullet assembly machines. So you're in charge as one of those positions of making sure that that bullet meets that core lock standard that has been established through the years that we've produced it, which of course has a very positive effect on the product and maintaining that positive effect on the product. So there's a lot of pride a lot of those individuals take into that, and it's shared throughout the Remington employee basis. And then of course we have shell draw. So you have individuals who are running the machines who make the shells. Something neat about that is you're making a 308 shell that may be used in multiple different products. So being able to be a part of that is really significant as well. And that's just talking about rifles. So moving on to shot shell, right? Some of the big names that we create here are Remington STS, Skeet, Trap, and Sporting, and Nitro. So Nitro 27, it's one of the premier trap specific shot shell target loads in the country and in the world, of course. Very much used by title holding competition individuals and or competitors. And anyway, we're really proud to be the manufacturer of that product here. The shot all the way to the body, to the head, to the primer, to the wads, those are all manufactured and assembled here at Remington. So tons of opportunities as far as operators, technicians, individuals like Kyle, who are in charge of delegating work, all of those different materials and making sure that we have the material that we need to make our products. All of those details have to co-align. So there's plenty of opportunities there with any of these large scale companies. And, and of course, moving on to handgun, you may be familiar with Golden Saber, which has been around for a long time and has racked up a reputation within the law enforcement industry. So you have some involvement in products that are used for law enforcement. Of course, we have cartridges and designs that are used within the military itself and contracts there. So there's still involvement within the military, which I know I'm really glad to take a part in providing ammunition for our United States forces. And then, of course, Remington is known for rimfire as well, just like CCI, and that we have our staple products different uses, different intentions, but the equipment that we use at Remington cannot be found anywhere else in the world. So we have a lot of proprietary equipment that was designed by Remington engineers on site. So getting the experience to work with these machines, brings challenges, and it brings a lot of advancements that is specific to Remington. So we're proud of that as well. And like I said, if I could end off with anything, it's that with any company that you choose from anybody that's talked to today, there's so much that goes into ammunition manufacture that I know myself coming into ammunition manufacturing, I didn't appreciate nor recognize. And I really think that if you are interested specifically in the firearms industry, ammunition industry, or just any sort of defense or sporting goods industry, such as ammunition manufacture like this, there's so many different career paths that even once you get in the door, you might be exposed to, that you'll be able to apply to and forward your career forward. And then of course, if you're passionate about the products that we make, that only in my opinion will make you better at your career. So I think just keeping that in mind, that even just getting your foot in the door, there are so many people that move from long distances, myself included, to take a job like this because it is so great. And I can attest, I've been here for 2 years, but I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity that I've had thus far in working for the Kinetic Group. So anyways, with that, I'll pass it back over to Tarina.
Thanks, Leland. Well, awesome. I wanted to give you guys just a little bit more on our last two brands here. So Heavy Shot's based in Sweet Home, Oregon, and they are a leading brand in high-performing shot shell ammunition. They were founded in 1999 by passionate hunters seeking superior performance. The plant houses a whopping 25 employees. And I say that way because a big heart in that brand. And I can't speak more highly about the passion that these folks embody, especially at this location. Known for pioneering non-lead tungsten-based pellets, Heavy Shot offers denser, more lethal shot than steel or lead, delivering greater downrange energy, tighter patterns, and enhanced knockdown power. Their product line includes specialized ammunition for waterfowl, turkey, upland game, coyote, teal, and dove hunting. They also lead in conservation, partnering with the hardest working organizations in the industry to help preserve and enhance habitat to put more wildlife in the field. Heavy Shot continues to innovate, earning awards and recognition for its quality and effectiveness. Next slide, please, Katie. And we have Fiocchi Ammunition. Fiocchi was founded in 1876 in Italy and has been producing high quality ammunition ever since. In the 1950s, Fiocchi began importing ammunition into the United States. And by the 1980s, demand had grown and the decision was made to build a manufacturing facility in the US to help service the US market. In 1983, a site in Ozark, Missouri was chosen right in the heart of America, and a facility was built on a former dairy farm. Since then, Fiocchi has continued to grow and expand, currently employing nearly 200 hardworking Americans to produce some of the highest quality shot shell and centerfire ammunition available. While the company still has roots in Italy and receives a portion of the products from the facility in Italy, around 80% of Fiocchi brand products that are sold in the US market are loaded in Ozark, Missouri, and now Lone Oak, Arkansas. Fiocchi is known for a wide range of small caliber ammunition, particularly shot shells, and centerfire pistol and rifle cartridges. Their product line includes options for hunting, shooting, and self-defense. Next slide, please, Katie. Okay, well, this is the end of our presentation. This wraps it up. I hope your primary takeaways are that we make an amazing product, we work with amazing people, and we love what we do. I remember walking into Remington for the first time and feeling like I was about to be a part of history. And that feeling still hasn't left me. I want to thank Stephen, Kyle, and Leland for sharing more about themselves and our brands, and to the Heroes Make America team for facilitating this event today. Before I head into the Q&A, and I hope we have a little bit of time for that, I want to encourage all of you to take advantage of the HMA program. The transition from the military back into the civilian world is a challenging journey, and some of you may already be experiencing that. But from my time working in the transition space, I can tell you that not all transition programs are built the same. The Kinetic Group chose Heroes Make America because they take great care in because of the great care their team takes in preparing all of you for a new career in manufacturing. It was unquestionably the right military transition program for us to support. And one last item before I close things out, you can now navigate to our career page and sign up for tailored job alerts through our an account. If you create an account, you'll be notified when opportunities become available. Well, that's all I have. And thank you so much again for joining us. Katie, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tarina. And thank you guys, Leland, Kyle, and Stephen, for your presentations. Learned quite a bit today. One thing I do want to kick off this Q&A session is, as you all learn, so as our audience learns about the manufacturing as a whole, you'll see that there's these subsectors of the industry depending on the types of products that are being made. Obviously, the ammunition subsector, a common thread, passion. I think all four of the presenters today truly demonstrate how much they love their job. And I think that can be recognized by a lot of our military as something that you might be pursuing post-military, right? If you loved your time in service, you want to love your next career, this is one of those subsectors of the industry that I think passion runs deep. So I do want to point that out. Love it. And then I love that all of you have different backgrounds and types of what you do and things you do. Because oftentimes we think of like manufacturing. If you don't know anything about manufacturing, you think you're going to be standing on a line and that's it. But there's lots of components to the companies to make the whole machine work, right? So I loved the demonstration of the different positions. I do want to ask some questions to each of you. One, I want to start with Stephen. So you kicked this off, and I know as someone who works in HR, you see all these different roles, right? As you're recruiting for them, getting them onboarded, doing things like that. And you had mentioned a couple different positions that maybe some folks would like to learn more about. You talked about shipping and receiving, sales, and some other ones. Do you mind kind of talking about what does someone in sales in the ammunition industry do? What does that position kind of look like? And same with shipping and receiving, because we have a lot of logisticians that come through our classes. So maybe wondering how their skill set might be applied to the manufacturing industry. So Stephen, you mind telling us a little bit more about those?
Yeah, sales position in the outdoor industry. I don't have a lot of direct in my day-to-day role now, direct overlap with sales. But fortunately for this question, I was a sales rep in the outdoor industry, so I can answer this. A lot of what that role looks like is working with key accounts. So it's going to be larger retailers and spending time with their buyers, their purchasers, and working and coordinating on things like positioning in the store. Obviously, it's going to be trying to get and gain shelf space. And working on how to coordinate promotions, scheduling out for holidays and special events that the stores are going to be having, managing excess inventory and helping push through some of that inventory that we might have here for specific products and SKUs that may be slow movers through certain times of the year, stuff like that. So it's a lot of face-to-face interaction. And thankfully for me, there was a lot of overlap with human resources, where it's really just the basis and core of that job, similar to my role in HR, is building and developing true connections and relationships with the people that you're partnering with. And then what was the other position, Katie?
Like shipping, receiving, logistics types of positions?
Shipping and receiving, I mean, that can be a lot. So there's going to be a big bulk of the production side of that, or the facility side of that, is going to be what we call material handlers, and they're driving forklifts, moving product around, pulling it from shelves, getting it loaded onto trucks. And then receiving is going to be the inverse of that, unloading trucks and getting the raw materials that are coming into the facility that are going to go into the components that we manufacture, and getting those to the right places, to the right people, going through the proper logs and reporting of that. So, and then the logistics piece, I don't know a ton about those positions and what those would look like. I guess I mostly directly support the manufacturing process and our production teams.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. I think that does give them somewhere to start. Tarina, I don't know if you have anything else to add as the TA lead. You know a lot about the different positions as well. Anything you want to add on those two that Stephen didn't cover?
Sorry, I was trying to find my mute button. No, he did a fantastic job. I think that, too, is that when we're talking about sales, I'm thinking about forecasting and I'm thinking about the opportunities that we have coming available very likely this year. So keep an eye out for those as they come available.
Awesome. Thanks, Tarina. And that's another plug for your talent community to be able to input resumes. So then as these folks are separating out of the military in the months to come, that might be a position that gets posted and you'll get notified by being part of that community. So thank you for that reminder. And speaking of forecasting, Kyle, and your production planning and buyer, I would just assume that there are points of seasons, right? Depending on hunting seasons when it comes to production. Can you talk a little bit about how you project out and forecast for the busy seasons and how that impacts production in your planning aspect?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about having good teams around us, and we're fed a lot of information from a variety of sources. Demand planning is one of them. And obviously they're keeping an eye on the seasons and what's coming up in the next quarter, and that's what we're building for in the preceding quarter. So we'll get those forecasts and react accordingly. Well, for me, purchasing either more or less of particular materials to support those. And then we have monthly meetings where we discuss what's coming next, kind of thing. So usually it's not a surprise, but every once in a while there's a curveball and a new product that they want to get launched yesterday. So but that keeps things fun and interesting and keeps me on my toes for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something that I think some folks don't think about the heavy seasons of the year, depending on the forecasting out. So thank you for doing that. And speaking of curveballs that are thrown to the production team and planning, Leland, R&D, as you're producing new, and you're coming up with new ideas and all those types of things. I want to kick it over to you. If you have anything to add about the new products getting launched into the production line. But really, my other question for you is also about your internship opportunity, because oftentimes our military, they might be continuing school after they separate. So maybe internships could be an option for them. Can you talk a little bit about what you did and the process and your experience with the internship as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I'll just go off of real quick what Kyle was talking about. Of course, there's ebbs and tides, new products that are coming out, new products in different areas, sometimes shot shell, sometimes rimfire rifle, whatever. And it's a team effort, right? Everybody's working together to get this product developed and released as soon as possible. So, being able to be flexible and be parts of those areas and to really take pride in what you're doing so that you can be the master of your craft so that you can help get that done when a product does meet those deadlines. It's a celebration, right? Everybody's happy about it. It's a job well done. So I think that that's something other people take pride in as well. So I just wanted to add that. But Katie, kind of off like what you said, would you mind repeating a little bit about the last detail that you mentioned there?
Sure, more about your internship. So
Sure.
some of these
Yes.
folks might go to school. So can you talk about your internship, how it went, length, the process, all that kind of good stuff?
Absolutely. So internships, when I was in school, my goal in going to school was not just to get the degree, but I got the degree because I wanted the career. So my approach to it was call people. I was looking online at, all of the application opportunities that are offered, which of course, the Kinetic Group has online application portals to which you can apply to and see job listings and job postings. But I really started off making calls to customer service and saying, I'm a prospective engineering student, and I'm really excited about any opportunities that you all have in actually working for the company. And my goal in getting into the internship was to, of course, land a job when I graduated. So I've been there and I get that just like a lot of people have. So I think, really trying to get an in on an internship or pursuing that career to get that job. And then once you get the career going, following that up with, the actual job placement that you want with that internship. So I wanted to be in R&D. I was looking for R&D engineering and trying to get that, of course, is helpful. And then going through and being a sponge and, trying to stay one step ahead of everybody. And if somebody's thinking they're going to go do that, you're the intern, you're already there doing it, so that you get your name out there and people get a positive rapport with you. But I also want to mention this, and not to get discouraged if you can't find a listing. Either A, it gets filled by somebody else or a different candidate, or if it just doesn't exist, don't get discouraged like that. And my example would be, if I wanted research and development engineering, I think going into manufacturing engineering, not to discount manufacturing engineering in any way, but getting into that field within the same community, the same group of people within the company, who's to say I couldn't go for research and development engineering a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road if a position opened up. So, just kind of thinking forward, even at the least getting a position in the company to where you can really utilize the skills that you've built in your schooling or your career goal, kind of going off of that. So that would be my goal. The getting into the research and development engineering internship position I had gave me the opportunity to be exposed to the great group of people at Federal, and they gave me great exposure to the projects that I would have been working on if I was a full-time employee, and that helped showcase any ability I had at trying to get a job at Remington. But just getting in the job, or getting in the door, showing individuals that work at the company that you're the hardworking, former military service member that you are, which is always a positive, especially for somebody in the firearms industry. You come in at an already advantage just from the basis that you've had in the military. And I can speak to that with my experience with individuals that I work with that were service members. But just getting in the door, getting your foot in the door, going, having a goal, but not getting discouraged if you can't meet the goal, because of course there are opportunities that open up other places. So is that
Yeah.
decent? Okay, decent answer.
No, that's great, Leland. I love it. I just love your explanation, because it shows there's multiple pathways to get into the company. So
Absolutely.
whether it's direct hire via one position, or maybe an internship is a better route, maybe it's time of the year that these positions are open. So I think it's just looking at it as options for these folks to get in. Trina, if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap it up with you and a couple HR questions. But one, in the chat, you had mentioned timeframes for internships, applications, and then can you explain when those internships usually happen? Like, are they summer? Can you talk about that a little bit? And then I'll ask another HR question.
Love it. Yep. Really quickly. And thanks, Leland. You did a phenomenal job. I'm glad that question went to you first, not me. No, but we offer internships typically over the summer. We do have some that extend beyond that period of time. We do have internships that go, quite frankly, year round. So I don't want to exclude those, but typically we do open up our internships for the summertime. So on average, we're pretty flexible. It's usually between about May to August, your typical summer break. We're pretty flexible on those start and end dates, though. We have a whole bundle of students that have actually just started at Federal, actually at all of our locations, just in the last 2 weeks. We usually open up, and I put in the chat there, we usually open the advertisement up around January, sometimes a little bit earlier. Kind of just depends on when we button things up with budget season and getting ready for the next year. But that's typically when you're going to see us advertised for those openings. Yeah.
Awesome. Last two questions, because we're almost out of time. But one, are those internships paid? And then the second question, just to get it out there, is on average, can you just explain like an app to hire time frame? So as they are transitioning out, sometimes they're looking months ahead, sometimes they're closer. What would you say is, how soon should they be applying to jobs? So are the internships paid? And then kind of the timeline for the positions.
Okay. So, and I just want clarity on the second question. First question, yes, our internships are paid. And you're saying transition time for my transitioning service members or my students? Okay, good.
Transitioning service members, sorry.
Yeah,
when they're getting out.
No, I want you to reach out to me now. I know that your window is long, but I also realize that the journey to figuring out what you want to do can be even more tedious. But our timeline to hire, we typically try to fill roles pretty fast. We want to make sure that from that time that you apply to the time that you're accepted for the role is not a very long window. We don't want you to go through a very lengthy process, but my team, we are equipped to handle military service members who are transitioning out, whether you're a military spouse, a veteran, you've been out for some time. We want to make sure that you have a good length of time to talk with us. So definitely get your interest in. That's why I mentioned our opportunity to put your interest in, and you can always send me your resume. We can always open up that conversation, have that dialogue early.
Awesome. Thank you, Trina, for that. We're going to drop in your email address, your contact information
Perfect.
again. So then if these folks are interested, reach out now and talk with Trina about positions, timelines, all that kind of good stuff. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. But we are out of time. We're 1 minute over, actually. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Trina. This was a wonderful session. Learned so much about the company and the different brands and what you all do. So very excited to have you. And thank you to our participants for joining us today. So we're going to go ahead and launch a poll, quick 3-question. If you all can complete that before you head out for today. But the conversation doesn't end here. This is just the beginning. I want you to connect with these folks, look at the website, join that talent community that Trina was talking about, or get your resume up there so you'll be alerted of positions as they become available. Talk with her, explore this industry as an option for you post-military service. Be sure to follow both the Kinetic Group and Heroes Make America on LinkedIn to make sure you get updates about the companies and different events that we're hosting. And then join us again. We're going to take a little bit of a summer break ourselves. We're going to take a couple of weeks off from Heroes Connect, but we will come back July 23rd. We're going to move from ammunition today to aviation and aerospace in a month. It's a very different industry. We're going to have Textron Aviation join us on July 23rd at 3 o'clock Eastern. But that's a wrap for today. Thank you again to my presenters. Thank you again to my audience, but y'all have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time.